Exoprimal has been out for 4 days now, and while the initial reception of the game was rather mixed, a lot of players are starting to change their minds and see the real potential in Exoprimal and what it could be later down the line. But it is undeniable that the forced tutorial of the game is quite tiresome, and it takes at least 10 to 15 hours of relatively easy multiplayer games to get to the real fun part, and that's driving a lot of new players away. So my aim with this video is to try and showcase all the different really cool endgame content Exoprimal has that frankly isn't advertised or shown anywhere in the teasers or reviews, and help you make a decision whether it is something you're interested in or not. Now in this video I will strictly show PvE content, as I don't really play PvP in Exoprimal, plus PvP is its own endgame anyway, and from my experience most of the special game modes and events are PvE only too, so keep that in mind. But all I can say is that once you get to unlock everything, the game gets pretty wild. A last warning before I show anything is that obviously this video will be full of spoilers, and there is no other way to show endgame, and so it will showcase a few story bosses and endgame monsters that you might not know about. So the way Exoprimal works is that it's a long forced tutorial and campaign, and as you play the multiplayer matches, either PvP or PvE, it doesn't matter, you slowly unlock cutscenes and story content as post-game cinematics, and these will explain what is happening to you, and very similarly after these cutscenes, you have either 100% or high chance of encountering a special story event as your next game. These story events usually have some dialogue, and at the same time are special boss missions, I would call them, that have special waves of special monsters in them. But the way they designed Exoprimal, after you complete these missions, they end up in your matchmaking, and from there on you can get them again as part of a random game mode or event, so they are essentially a main part of the game. One of the first of these missions you can get is when you help out Magnum in the story, and it is the first time you see a real raptor swarm in the game, and your objective is to survive and kill over 1,000 raptors swarming from the bridge, along with 2 Carnotauri, which is a really fun introduction to these events. Completing this mission also unlocks a variety of different swarms that can happen now in your game, such as blazing raptors swarming out from a burning tunnel, or a whole Pteranodon swarm attacking you from the sky as a large formation that you have to defend against, and honestly, I'm not sure if I've seen all of these swarms, but they're really satisfying to fight, though they also seem to be somewhat scripted to certain maps, so they aren't entirely random, but nonetheless, really fun. Next story event after that is encountering your first boss missions with Leviathan as you get introduced to the Neo T-Rex event. You have probably seen this event by now. It starts by having to fight an enormous horde of raptors swarming down a platform, where your objective is to survive and defeat 2,000 raptors. This one is relatively challenging at first, but after that not so much, but it remains to be fun, I think, just because of how fun the gameplay is in Exoprimal. Either way, it is just a warm-up round anyway, and the real challenge of this mission is what comes next, the Neo T-Rex boss fight. That is a 10 versus 1 raid where you and your team have only 35 revives, and you have to defeat a Neo T-Rex, which is a full-on raid boss with different special attacks and mechanics you have to figure out and tackle, and let me tell you, no matter how many times I get this, it remains a challenge. Winning the boss fight isn't that hard, I would say, but the real challenge is actually remaining fully in control during the fight, and even after around 6 encounters I had so far, even though I know all the mechanics, since the T-Rex performs them randomly and sometimes straight out of nowhere or even combos them together, it's still tons of fun. So far this is the only real dinosaur boss in the game, but they already announced they're working on new ones, and if the quality will be similar, I'm really looking forward to it, as this is an excellent example of how fun PvE can be in Exoprimal, with the same quality of monsters that you have in Monster Hunter. After that, you will slowly start to encounter more and more special dungeon missions called Abyss missions. Abyss missions are basically hard PvE challenges you will encounter in this special zone with Leviathan, and frankly this is my only gripe with them, that the environment is really ugly and boring. I wish these were on actual maps. Anyhow, so far I have encountered 2 types of Abyss missions, one where the goal was basically to push back an endless and enormous swarm of high-level dinosaurs through the map, almost like a platformer challenge, and you had to kill a certain number of different dinosaurs which you could find along the way. But if you died and no one can revive you, you would have to start from the start of the map, having to fight the huge hordes again. This one I only got once, and the random team I was with found it really hard, as there's just a ridiculous amount of dinosaurs here, and getting past them is no joke, since as I said, they're endless swarms, they don't stop coming, and you have to actually run past them to get to the higher level dinosaurs, and it's not easy. Overall, tons of fun and actually required good teamwork. Next, the other Abyss challenge was one where Leviathan would not allow you to revive at all, which means only players can revive you throughout the event, which requires extra teamwork once again. This Abyss is a lot less complicated than the previous one, as it's a simple horde mode where crap ton of dinosaurs keep coming at you, both normal and neosaurs, along with the toughest versions of them, and the challenge is to kill them while staying alive since, yeah, reviving isn't easy this time around. This also has several stages, where in one part you even end up in a maze where there are stegosaurs hidden randomly that jam your exosuits from using any abilities. It's real easy to get lost here, and is another type of interesting, maybe a bit annoying challenge, and still, you cannot revive by yourself. I'm not sure if I have seen all of the Abyss challenges, but these two have been a lot of fun, and since they're quite rare, I'm still very much looking forward to them whenever I get them. Now the last one, unless I forgot to mention other content, the boss fights, and in particular, the final boss fight of the game. Now these missions alone honestly are one of the coolest and most fun shooter experience I had. The final mission in particular is one giant raid basically, where you encounter everything the game has to offer and I mentioned so far, with all the different objectives from the game modes, all the dinosaurs, all the mechanics, and all the challenges, while at the same time you have to fight the final boss, and you and your team only have 35 respawns. I won't be spoiling mechanics, but I think I failed this mission 3 times the first time I encountered it. That's how much my teams were struggling, and the dinosaur waves and swarms that spawn during the missions, while the boss itself is poking you with its special attacks, is just nuts. This mission also becomes a randomly repeating event you can get through the matchmaking, and is an epic, really entertaining raid mission that, while unfortunately isn't random, so you can memorize the enemies on it, it is still possibly the hardest content in the game and is worthy of being a final mission really. And if anything, once again it shows that this game has so much freaking potential, as the boss fight itself has excellent overall design. So those are all the different types of endgame content that I have encountered after finishing the full game, along with the overall massive increase in difficulty on your normal matches, since you will be getting much larger swarms of dinosaurs and a lot higher level ones too, that sometimes become really challenging to complete. Next to these, 2 weeks after launch, a brand new game mode called Savage Gauntlet is also getting released for the game, which is a 5-man PvE only challenge mode, where on a weekly basis the developers will prepare a unique and extra difficult fixed scenario where the goal is to complete the mission in the first place if you're able, or get a better completion time and compete with others. Note that this game mode is specifically designed to be hard enough that most players should struggle with even completing it. Anyway, those are all the different special endgame activities you can encounter currently on launch in Exoprimal, next to the base game and its PvP and PvE game modes. Hope this video showed you more accurately what the game actually is about and has to offer, and help you make a more informed decision whether you are interested in it or not. But with that said, that is pretty much about it for this video. I'm fully covering Exoprimal with guides and other videos, so if you're interested, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. But for now, thank you for watching everyone, and I'll see you all the next time.